mornings. Our partner, Judy Busby, can't be with us today. She's at the early bird session of the quadrennial session of the Presbyterians Anonymous. They're meeting in Burtonview, I think, today. Burtonview, Broadwell, and Beeson, they kind of rotate who's going to be the host of the Presbyterian quadrennial sessions. But we do have good Presbyterians with us this morning, and we always start, Brady, with kudo or two. And since we're talking about volunteerism and so forth, and that is exactly what we're doing here today, how much you do and how much the Presbyterian Church does in this community. So we'll make our kudos simply to all volunteers who find time to help their fellow citizens. And with that, I'm going to introduce Debbie Schweitzer and Charlise Leesman. And Charlise and Debbie are here to talk about, number one, we've got a little barbecue and ice cream thing coming up here at Presbyterian Church soon, very soon. And then we're going to talk, you know, some churches don't do much, some churches do a whole lot in the community. Depends upon the push, I guess, from the top. But Presbyterian Church does a whole lot of good things. We're going to talk about some of those. So who wants to go first this morning and talk about your barbecue session coming up here?
I'll be glad to go first.
All right, Charlise.
Well, it is a week from today, July 19th, and we serve from 4:30 to 7. And it's at the First Presbyterian Church, which is at the corner of Ottawa and Pekin. And tickets are available in advance for $9 or at the door for $10. And just seek out a member that has tickets or stop by the church. They have them in the office. And we look forward to this every year, and we are excited, as usual, about having our pork barbecue and our homemade desserts.
Well, we've done this for a number of years now. This is a program, a feed program that really is really looked forward to by the community. It's always been well attended, and you have a little side issue there going. You always have some entertainment, and that's always been nicely done. Sometimes it's pretty doggone hot for those folks out there in that tent, and so kudos to those folks who sit outside, and to the entertainers who provide that little entertaining food there. But it's a nice little thing. But you've been doing this a number of years. It takes a lot of people. How many people do you have that in your church that put their shoulders to the wheel here? A number?
We probably have about 50 people that either contribute baked goods for the fun part of the meal.
Which you're really very good about, by.
Yes. And then another, including in that 50 are those that are able to actually work at the barbecue. We have some of our older folks that can't work anymore, but they still, a lot of those ladies still bake.
Yeah.
So,
as you do know, I'm sure that my Credo Rule certificate is back there in the corner of the Presbyterian Church, and so it would be that I have a fair exposure to the Presbyterians, and I find that down through the years, even though I haven't been a member of the church, I stepped away and went down to the corner there, the Episcopalians many years ago, some 80 years ago, I think. Anyway, you have a lot of folks who just step to the plate, and some of them can't hardly pick up the bat anymore because age takes its toll. And as you suggest, you have people who can't physically do things, but they're there to help out.
Absolutely, absolutely.
In fact, one of our matrons is actually going to celebrate her birthday that day, and that will be Ruth Kapik. I'm not going to say how old she's going to be.
Another retired teacher.
Yes, another retired teacher, which we both are. Yes.
It's great that, and also Ruth volunteers and does a great job down at the Pink Shutter.
True.
And the food pantry.
Yes.
And the food pantry. So you see, there's a retiree who's not retired.
Exactly.
And I always used to, when you get older, if you say you're old, you'll get rolled pretty quickly. But if you kind of refuse to give in, like Ruth does, you'll have a greater interest and have a lot more fun in life.
Absolutely, yes.
So you have a number of folks there who are servers. The ice cream dipper is always a very important guy. And what is the entertainment? Do we have a theater group or anything like that coming in? Or is it awfully hot for them out there?
A couple of years ago, when LCT was doing its coming back to life season, we did have, that was mostly our entertainment that year. But Julie Casa, our music director, has always puts together a great lineup. She has a wide network of musical friends. So a lot of them are our own Presbyterian players, we call them, and then she also has connections at the high school because she plays for the choir there. And so she gets high school kids, and so she just has a great lineup. The only ones I know for sure this year are our own group, because we have to put them in the shifts where they're not playing. So they double up with playing and working.
You know, you mentioned Julie. Now, there's a good example of another volunteer, Lincoln Area Musical Society, with Julie and Tim Serby. That thing just has come alive. And those folks do a wonderful job in our community. The concerts they present.
They do.
And it isn't like they just show up to sing. There's a lot of rehearsal goes on.
Absolutely.
So,
and one thing about it, we have a tent set up outside so people can eat dinner out there and listen to the music, or just bring their lawn chairs, and after they've eaten inside, find a shady spot and
depending upon what the weather station says, that tent could be an asset or a liability. Well, I'm a couch potato these days, so I'll stay in for the air conditioning.
We try to be real optimistic when it comes to the weather.
Yes.
It's
going down a degree every day, but it still starts with a 9.
Well, let's talk about some of the other things that you folks do in the Presbyterian Church. You're involved in community action, you're really involved in community in many, many facets of volunteerism, and all inures to the benefit of the community. And it takes people to do that. So let's take, as they say in show business, let's take it from the top. Let's talk about community action and your involvement there. Do you want to expand on that a little bit, please?
Well, we do coats for kids, and I think we get names from community action and through the schools of kids that might need a warm coat or scarf or hat or whatever, mittens, and so that is something that the barbecue does, the proceeds do go for, and it's nothing to have 60, 70, 80 coats at least every winter.
Answering a real need. That started many years back, because the dry cleaning profession all over the country kind of got their oar in that water. And I know we at our place would clean coats free and then give them to the places, and that went on all over the country. And I don't think we really realize that each of us in our own way, we kind of go along in our own little sphere, and we don't realize that there's some real want and real need out there.
That's right.
And so you're filling a great void there. So.
And one year, well, I think for several years, we had a lady who would even knit the scarves and the hats to match the coats, and that was Marilyn Casa.
Yes.
And so it's those little extra touches, that just make it even more special.
Yeah, I had a lady come up to me in my church about 4 years ago. She gave me a scarf that she admitted she's a little bit challenged. Nice girl, but challenged. And she gave me this, and I want to tell you, tears came to my eyes when she did that, because she did it from the heart for me. And it really felt, made the old fellow feel real good. That was really nice. So when these people, folks that are challenged still have abilities to do things.
Exactly.
And we just don't want to write them off as people are sometimes want to do.
Yes.
Now, what is the Camera Village? That is not that's not the Keeler Institute, is it, for?
No, I actually served on the board of directors there for 6 years. It's down in Assumption, which is south of Decatur. It's just a small town, but Camera Village started, well, about 105 years ago as an orphanage, and it has become, it's changed, evolved over the years, and it's a facility where mostly troubled youth anywhere from ages 10 through 19 can go, and they can be referred there by schools, DCFS, the court system, and so on. And it's a wonderful facility that is run, gets its funds, a lot of its funds from the Presbyterian Church USA,
Yes,
and not just from us, but and also it's been struggling to get money from the state, but that's a whole nother issue.
That's new. That's something new.
But it's a beautiful facility out in a cornfield. They in the last 5 years have put up an equestrian therapy barn, and they have some mini horses that have been donated to them, and the kids, because many of the kids are from the Chicago area and don't know anything about farm life, and so they really respond to these horses. They have a couple of full-size horses too, but the minis are really sweet to
I'd like to see that. That's really neat.
Well, I'll take you over there someday.
I'd love to do that, Deb.
Okay.
I sure would.
Okay.
We could start at Old Joe's early in the morning.
Make a day of it.
Come back, make a circuit, come back to the Spirited Republic at night. Now, this is primarily for orphans.
Well, that's how it began.
Started out
that's how it
way.
began. Yes, but it is now mostly troubled kids that have gotten have lost their way, and this is just a wonderful facility. They have their own school there, and they also have and agreements with the local school district that some of the kids are able to attend school there, and so they just do wonderful projects there, and they make it their home. And one of the things that our church does at Christmas time, they send us a list of they also have a foster program, of their own, and that's of course coordinated with the state, but they send us a list either of things that the resident children want for Christmas or need for Christmas, or some years we do just the foster children, and so we get a collection, and usually we just collect money from the congregation just a couple of Sundays, and then a couple of us go shopping and we wrap presents, and then we make a little delivery over there, and that's really great, and they love that.
There are some newcomers in the community that don't even realize it. Out there on Wyatt Avenue on the right-hand side as you go out to the high school, we had, gosh, what would we call it today's times? Politically incorrect to say orphan's home, for gosh sake.
That's right.
But anyway, it was the Odd Fellows home, and it was primarily for orphans. And now this would be in the 20s, 30s, and then into the 40s before. And we had some outstanding folks go through there. The time they had their own grade school, They had their own marching band, and by the time those kids left there to go into high school, their grade schools, they were probably better prepared than the wee city folks were, because they ran a really good ship out there. They had it was really a wonderful facility, filling a need at the time. And of course things came along, changed, the need wasn't there anymore. But they had their own farm. It was a really great thing to have. And they turned out some really bright kids. My dear friend Bill Shoemaker, whom you might know, he's one of the graduates of the, I'll use that term, graduates.
Yes.
But anyway, it was a great institution this time. But why would they call it an institution, come to think about it? So, Habitat for Humanity. You have one of your church members there that is heading up Habitat since since Busby Bounds, and Lordy, that girl's a worker.
Yes.
And you have a number of volunteers, and not just from the Presbyterian Church and Habitat. This is a community-wide
Right.
event.
It's our county thing,
Our good friend Leonard Kruzmark from up at Emden, deeply involved in that. Billy Saz and a number of folks that are just really very, very good about showing up on a regular basis. And so your church, as we do here in the Episcopalians down the corner, we support Habitat for Humanity because it's a great program. So you have some folks that involved there?
We do.
Another one of our members that has been very involved in that is Bob Chamberlain.
Oh yeah,
And
sure.
so we're proud that of his work too.
We really have a lot lot of, for not being a huge congregation, we do touch a lot of different areas. And particularly with the barbecue, we promote that those proceeds stay in the county, stay in the community, even though we do Camera Village and all, these other ones too, but we kind of tote that this one is going to stay, with our with the Coats for Kids, or the Food for Thought, which is the backpack lunch or food that we
Let's
send.
Talk about that just a minute.
That starts, it goes through the whole school year. And every week, on Wednesdays, we have a group of people that pack the backpacks, and this is with food that would go home with them on Friday, so over the weekend. Of course, it's non-perishable usually. It does have some fresh fruit sometimes, though. It's and so this is every week, and then other people deliver it on Thursdays, and then it goes home. It used to go home in backpacks when it first started. Now it goes home like in bags that they put in their backpack. But when you think about it, that every week during the whole school year, from August to June, this happens. It's really a tremendous.
Now, like it or not, we have to understand that the real world says that there are youngsters in real need.
Yes. And
that nutrition that you give them may perhaps be the only nutrition they get over a weekend.
Right, and so, it's things that they can share with their family, like, if there's a canned vegetable, or but there's a lot of times there's like snack bar, and nutritious granola bars and little things of fruit, and it's just and the feedback, they do a survey at the end of the school year every year, and the feedback from the parents is heartwarming, because they do really appreciate it, and we work through the District 27 to do that.
It occurs to me, and I think we grew up in more innocent times. When I was a young guy in school, I'm sure those things existed, but not to the degree that they exist today. And they were taken care of by somebody or somehow in the community, but not in the numbers that we experience today. Right. I'd vouchsafe to say, ladies, that 50%, see if I'm right about that in your judgment, of our youngsters in school maybe are single parents. Am I close there?
I'm guessing that. I'm guessing that it is near that. I've
been retired.
It's much more than.
Well, it's a real socio-economic problem.
Yes,
right.
Yes,
and we just can't wring our hands and say, "Oh, isn't that terrible?" Somebody has to step to the plate.
Right.
And so churches throughout the community, along with community action, they do step to the plate and fill those terrible needs.
Right.
And Logan County is not exactly thriving at this moment as far as good jobs and things. So well, you can see the decline in our population, and gosh, when we came to Lincoln High School, the enrollment was like 1,350 students, and now it's half that. A little more than half.
Yeah.
But it's
well, that means people aren't coming in. Well, state of Illinois doesn't exactly attract anybody, in case you We're going to get Tim Butler back in here. Tell him to put his asbestos pants on and come in, and we'll open up the airways to those who want to discuss things with Tim. Tim does a good job representing us. He's conservative, and I think he's trying to do what his constituents want him to do. Others down there, not so much, thank you, but that's another story.
That's another morning.
We're here to talk about the Presbyterian Church, and it's important. By the way, Judy,
we don't do politics.
Judy's promotion for this, and if you're church shopping, check out the Presbyterian Church. Which I think, and speaking of shopping, we're going to have to let Mr. Ash get himself collected here in a minute, and we'll go to some commercials for whenever you're ready, James. And right back to live in the studios here. The program is Viewpoint. We appear each Wednesday morning at 8:15 to 9 o'clock, inviting guests from around the community. who are important to our community. And two very important ladies are Charlise Leesman and Debbie Schweitzer, friends of mine, and I'm happy to say that for many years. But I don't like to say many years in front of you ladies.
That's okay. It has been many.
Anyway, we're talking about number one. We want to promote the Presbyterian Church pork barbecue and ice cream sandwich and all the good pastries that you have there. That'll be Wednesday, July the 19th. And put that on your post to do something, folks. The tickets are out, and Presbyterian Church members have them. They're $9 in advance, $10 at the door. It's a fun evening. You see a lot of people that you don't see at the taverns around town, and
maybe you do.
and maybe you do.
And then again, some you okay. And we're also discussing some of the many ways the churches not only serve their congregations in their each respective community, but if they've got anything at all about them, and they do here in this community, we're really lucky. They serve our community in many, many ways. And we have a pamphlet in front of me on my lap, and I'm only down to page 3, and I think we have 12 pages in this pamphlet. Delineating things that the First Presbyterian Church does in our community. For instance, the Golden County Health Department. How do you help in the Golden County Health Department, ladies? Has anybody told you about that yet?
I should have brought my husband. He's on the mission committee. But
okay, fine.
That is basically funds that we send over there, I believe. I don't think we have any manpower over there.
Yeah.
We were kind of instrumental, I do believe, in getting the dental program going.
Oh, good.
And when they had a mobile van, I know our names were on the back. Our name, the First Presbyterian Church, was on the back of it, among a few others. But I don't think they do that anymore. But the dental program is still there and is wonderful. The young lady dentist, I don't know her name, came and did a program on a Wednesday evening at our church, and she's just phenomenal.
Well, you know, the odds are that the folks who go to that particular care program, the dental program in the Golden County Health Department, those folks not likely to see a dentist in the course of a year.
No, because
And so you see how
expensive.
Terribly important that is.
Yes.
Again, hands helping, reaching out for somebody.
Yeah.
And,
we don't have anybody who can do dental work, but we do provide funds.
Yeah, right.
It makes me think of, it doesn't relate it to the health department, but it makes me think of the blood bank that we do once a year. We sponsor, and it's in memory of Joyce Kinsey.
How neat.
And of course that really ties into our barbecue because she was
Major domo there, wasn't she?
major long time ago starting it. This is the 37th one. And when we first started, it started out on with Bruce Allison, Reverend Bruce Allison, and
Sure we do.
Did some chicken out back on a grill.
I remember that.
Not a big grill, but a small grill. And actually, the proceeds from the very first one went to the Christian Education Building was new, and we wanted to landscape, and that was the kind of thought that got everything going. And I think that's probably the only year that we spent it right on ourselves. But anyway, it grew into then the pork barbecue, the coleslaw, the applesauce, the chips and everything that we offer. And Joyce would started out, she would sauce her pork, and even people would sometimes bake it at home and bring it, and then later we moved out to the Maple Club, and we would shred it by hand. And
nasty job.
Joyce is indefatigable. I mean, she was a
my
worker. My
goodness.
But we're very fortunate now to IGA with Charlie Lee, and our barbecue is made in-house.
They, by the way, are community-minded.
Oh my gosh,
Absolutely.
yes, they are so wonderful to work with, and you just don't have to worry about that part of it, And he has a soft spot for Joyce too, because I think every time we meet with him, he brings up about, yes, we need that coleslaw dressing like Joyce had, and blah, So that's a very important part of our
And we have them
tradition.
on speed dial during the event in case we are running short on something.
He's
You
ready
know,
to go.
they bring
they're
it
just
to us. You know,
phenomenal
they can
to
get
work,
there in no
yes,
time
and we're
flat.
so appreciative.
Yes.
And you know, while we're thinking about it too, we need to thank the county board too. This year we changed our hours. We shortened it to 4:30 to 7, and we saw several years we've wanted to get new yard signs, but you know, we just couldn't justify buying new signs. And this winter we noticed in the county board meeting proceedings, they had a grant for money for organizations in the county, but it had to be used only for promoting an event. And so we're like, ooh, let's try it. So we did, and we were able to get some money from them through the grant, and so we were able to get new yard signs this year.
Oh, thanks to them.
And when we came up from the basement the other night after the storm, first thing my husband said was, the barbecue sign's still there. But we had new signs and new stands that were much stronger than our old ones, so I don't think they blew away all over town the other night. So,
that's
but anyway,
pretty
we're
nice.
very appreciative that we had
they're
that
good looking
opportunity.
signs, and they're going to last a few years now. So thanks to the county board for that.
Yes.
That was great to offer that, you know,
Yes.
that grant to people. So
The fact that you mentioned a new Christian education building, which is now not
Now,
new at all. It's
yeah.
quite old.
been
Do other
remodeled.
members in the community use that, like organizations from time to? Can they rent that?
yes, they can once in a while, and they sometimes for special birthdays or
Sure. Yeah.
showers or
there's
that
gonna be
kind
one
of
there
thing.
this Saturday.
Well,
So-
the St. John's Church have been very kind to the theater in letting them
Yes.
use that nice facility for their rehearsals
Yes.
now. By the way, I just put a little plug in for the theater. That this production called Pirates is primarily a youngster-oriented program. And Jean, who's very, very involved with that, helping Tim and all, Terry Fink and others there, she says that these kids are just phenomenal. So I guess that opens up this Friday, and they've been rehearsing until just recently over there at St. John's.
That's
And
great.
If you want to spend a quick hour or maybe an hour and a half to watch some really kids that are really into it, that'd be a nice evening for you. It's Friday, Saturday,
This
Sunday,
weekend,
and then the
isn't it?
following
Yes.
weekend too. So commend that to your use.
There you
Now, you mentioned the food pantry. That's on page 4, and I'm
Moving right along.
We've got a long ways to go. Seriously, that answers a tremendous need. I have a little problem personally in that we're handing out stuff to folks who don't seem to be too appreciative, in that they show up smoking cigarettes. My theory is that if they can afford that, they better do something else for their grub. But that's a personal observation, so we won't. That's not the reflective views of Jim Ash or WLCN. I want to put that caveat in there. But seriously, a lot of folks, Norm Newhouse, Billy Overton, come to mind immediately. Untold Hours there, and it fills a real need. Kenny Schweitzer, all those who are there are helping out. And so let's talk about the Presbyterian Church and the Logan Food Pantry and how they participate in that.
Well, again, we provide quite a large sum of money to them, but
Takes a lot of that.
yeah, it does. And also each month we designate actually it's a household item of some sort, a hygiene product. Like this month is body wash. And so we encourage our members to bring, every time they come, our pastor says, every time you come into the church this week, bring a bottle of body wash. And he says you can get it for $1.39. You know, he holds one up in front of the church. And so actually Ken and I collect it and tally it at the end of worship every Sunday, and then deliver it. Until I had shoulder surgery in November, I was working. I worked at the food pantry for many years, and I will be going back. But we're the only organization that that provides those kinds of items: shampoo, body wash, detergent, cleaning items, dish soap.
Things that maybe people won't buy for themselves.
Well, and they're some of them are expensive. Not all of them are, but it's just people think food pantry, it has to be food, but you need to think about the things that you use every day that we certainly wouldn't want to live without,
right.
And nobody should have to live without them. So we try to think of those things, and that's actually a whole station at the very end after they've gone through the circuit in the food pantry, is their household items, and our church provides a lot of them. Now, they do have shoppers that take the funds that are donated, and funds are greatly appreciated because they can go to the food bank in Springfield, and I probably won't have the number right, but it's something like we can buy pretty much what we want for about 17 cents a pound.
Wow. Well,
Norm could give you a more exact number on that, but that's close.
I've neglected to give a number, 648-5510. Somebody might have a question of Debbie Schweitzer or Charlise Leesman, who are here this morning representing the First Presbyterian Church to blow a little smoke on behalf of their barbecue, which we're going to have on July the 19th. So make it a point to get there. The churches are terribly important to our community. You mentioned the food pantry. A lot of churches will present, folks will bring things at their church, and they'll be presented at the altar when the offering is presented to the altar, and then somebody else will bring those goods up in a basket, which is really a nice thing. And it's an ongoing thing and a much, much needed thing. The Schweitzers and the Leesmans and the people like that, we need a lot of them. Tell us the process there. Let's say I present myself in need for something. How is that done there physically? How do we go through the food bank?
Well, if you're a first-time customer, we'll call you a customer.
Yeah.
You have to go speak with one of the head people. It would have been Bill Overton in the past, or Norm. Rick Relaford has stepped in and done a really good job with that. Gene Meyer is there and works back there, and so there are certain income guidelines that are set by the government that we don't set. Depending on the size of your family, that your income has to not exceed that number that's in that chart, and so they sign them up. They fill out a card and they bring it to the receptionist, which used to be me, and then they're entered into the computer, and they're allowed to come to the food pantry once a month. If they come at the end of one month, as soon as it changes, like if they come at the end of July, they can come on the 1st of August if they want to, but then they wouldn't be able to come again until September. But the amount of food that they get is based on the number that's in their family, and that's recorded into the computer, and the date that they come, and we're a total choice pantry, which is we're kind of a model for food pantries around. We get high marks for the way it's set up and the choices that the families get to make, because it doesn't do any good to send food home that the families are not going to eat.
Yeah.
So they just run the circuit. They go to a freezer, they go to a couple coolers, they have canned goods they can choose from, cereals, baked goods, things like mayonnaise, mustard, ketchup, cake mixes, and then we have all sorts of bread, and then miscellaneous kinds of things, and then at the end the household items. So every family used to leave with at least 2 rolls of toilet paper, but after doing a little bookkeeping at the end of one year, they realized how much money they were spending on toilet paper, so they have eliminated that.
Basic need. Who thinks about those things, It's so basic.
Yeah, so the people missed that, but it was just costing the pantry too much money.
There's go ahead, Charlise.
I was just going to say, Bill, these numbers are all important and they're great, but I just we feel, and I know everybody feels at our church, that another part of our barbecue event is, sure, it's great to have a good profit and be able to do this, but it's that fellowship of everybody coming, and that's those kind of events are getting farther and fewer between, and we just appreciate so much the people that come back every year and have a chance, like you said earlier, to sit down and see people that you haven't seen for a while, and it's that fellowship that
We're
really
getting back to the basics.
That's right, and that's just so important
and
with this whole
fellowship.
event.
We're losing
Fellowship
a lot
among
of
our
that.
members. That of course we have assigned seats, in our sanctuary. So if you sit over on this side, you maybe don't see somebody that sits over on the other
like
side.
the frozen chosen, we're called.
Chosen, frozen.
The frozen
chosen.
But it's just
One of the things
part.
that churches experience, and I think it's not unusual in all denominations, but unfortunately, due to whatever reason, and it goes back to this socioeconomic thing of a single parent and upbringing is the word. Youngsters don't go to church as much as they used to because, and so what happens then when the churches, the Presbyterian Church, the St. John's Church, the Presbyterian Church, all churches around the community, with a few exceptions, are experiencing a lack of growth, and our congregations are all getting older.
Exactly.
And in our case, they get really older. But seriously, so it falls upon the maybe fewer people to do the things that need to be done in the church.
Yes.
And so this morning typifies what happens in the churches. We got younger people like Charlise and Debbie who are putting their shoulders to the wheel on behalf of the Presbyterian Church. So we're happy about that. Now, the Storybook Ministry Program. Judy Busby has been by the way, she's one of Minnesota's greatest exports.
Yes.
She's been very involved in that. She got me involved in it many years back, and I finally reached a point where I said, I guess it was about 3 years ago, when it got to be 90, I said, I think I'll quit some of this volunteering stuff. But she stays in there. That's a very, very important product. You want to talk about the Storybook Program just to
I think our involvement in that has diminished. I'm really not an expert on that.
Part of that is the state's problem. It goes back to this business of money. And like the Lutheran Social Services, they were the big promoter of that.
Yes.
And their money became a problem for them. So, but it speaks to a real need for some folks out there who are in another spectrum of life.
Exactly.
But what we have just started recently, one of our members, who's also very involved in the barbecue, is Annie Hieronymus, an Atlanta girl, and they're working on starting. I can't either. But they're doing reading at the Christian childcare. Down on Wyatt Avenue. We became involved in that with them a few years ago. They were having some financial difficulties, and so one of our members' child went there, and so she asked, if there was a way that we could support them. So we've started shifting, shifting some funds and some work in that direction. And so just in the last few months, we've started this. I think they go on Monday mornings and read. I haven't done it. They say it's really fun because the kids just love it. But
and I think they're trying to stock the shelves with books and promote library usage early, to help, and not always, doing these things.
Reading rather than
reading a real book. So.
I'm still on page 5. And that just speaks to the fact of how involved the First Presbyterian Church is and has been. My mother's favorite, by the way.
Yes, I remember her.
And how involved that is in the community. And we're here this morning with Charlise Leesman and Debbie Schweitzer to talk specifically about the barbecue that's coming up here on July the 19th. Ladies, we appreciate your time to come up here. We appreciate what you do in the community. We appreciate what the First Presbyterian Church does in the community. Vitally involved. How old is that church? My goodness gracious.
Well, we celebrated our sesquicentennial, 10 years? No, probably longer ago than that. Oh gosh, probably 15.
Probably at least 10 years ago.
Yeah. That was
Well,
when Paul Gilmore was here.
We've appreciated
No,
very
not
much your
either.
coming with us this morning. Always try to close with a remark that's somewhat analogous to the subject matter of the day, and I found a very simple one. One of the greatest gifts that you can give is your time. And two ladies here today are giving a lot of time. We appreciate that. We appreciate the First Presbyterian Church. Thank you for Viewpoint.
Thank you.